Hey everyone, before the actual content starts, I want to quickly explain what you'll be seeing here. So the other day I thought it'd be cool to work on some sort of Web3 crypto project, and there are just so many people I see working in this space. I think it made sense to learn some Solidity and build some dApps. And for those of you who don't know what dApps are, they are basically apps that run on the blockchain. And Solidity is the language used to build these dApps, specifically on the Ethereum blockchain. So the project I sought out to build was a project that allowed you to send messages from one wallet to another directly. And this would be used to contact someone who you may not know the real identity. So for example, a blockchain company like Aave may want to notify one of their users that their investment position is about to be liquidated. Or you may want to contact someone who owns an NFT that you really want. And for all these people, you don't know their email address or phone number. So it'd be really nice to contact them directly through their wallets. I wrote the dApp in a way such that when you sent a message to someone, it also sent a token along with it representing the message. And the hope was that when someone opens their wallet and sees this random token, they'd be curious and would go check out the token, eventually leading them to our dApp and allowing them to sort of be onboarded into this environment. And this would have been a really cool mechanism, but unfortunately in development, I learned that many wallet providers like MetaMask actually don't automatically detect new tokens for you. So that was disappointing, but I continued with development anyways, just as a cool learning experience / experiment. And in these devlogs, my main goal is to be able to capture this learning process and be able to look back and reflect on all the skills I picked up along the way in the future. So if any of you watching have any ideas on how I can improve these devlogs, I'm all ears because this is my first time and I'm open to new ideas. Anyway, thank you for watching and I hope you enjoy the video. All right, so basically this video will just comprise me showing time lapses of my development as well as some demos every now and then to show the progress on the app in a more sort of intuitive, visible way. In this first time-lapse session here, basically my main struggle was trying to get a certain modal pop-up to work well. I wanted to have a really nice fade in and fade out animation. But having not been super experienced with React and especially the Tailwind CSS framework that I'm using here, it took me a while to figure out that I could use the visible and invisible keywords to get that to work. Then basically is just a job of actually making the modal pop up and creating some buttons that for now don't do anything, but allow you or will eventually allow you to connect your MetaMask wallet to this app. In a bit here, you'll see that I'm going to try to import some SVG icons, which also, funnily enough, also took me a while to figure out. But after that, I learned the lesson on how to do this stuff. So here's the demo, as you can see here. It's nothing much. Started out kind of ugly. Luckily, it gets better later on. But yeah, there's a connect wallet button that doesn't do anything for now. So my next goal was to make the wallet connection button actually work. And I sped up the clip even faster here to get past the boring parts because this took a while. But basically, I just added a bunch of logic to handle scenarios where, let's say, they didn't have MetaMask installed, or they needed to connect their wallet, or if it's already connected, displaying that correctly. So here I'm just adding in a bunch of cases in the React.js code to handle all of those looks. MetaMask luckily provided a nice SDK to interact with, and I learned a little bit of how to use the injected Ethereum SDK as well to figure out where accounts are and stuff like that. I also ended up having to use a bit of Redux here, which is the first time I actually implemented Redux myself. I had used it in larger projects, but I realized I needed it here to really handle some global state management because it was getting kind of annoying to have to query the MetaMask wallet each time or get the information. So here I figured I'll have one place to store all the accounts and use Redux to manage that, and that just makes development so much easier here. I'm really glad I got to learn Redux through this process. Alright, and here's the demo. Basically, here I'm going to refresh, disconnect my wallet first. Refresh. You'll see that there's no wallet, and when I click the connect wallet button, it'll ask me to click choose a provider. I can connect this hard hat wallet, and bam, the wallet is now connected just like that. So at this point, people are able to connect their wallets, but I now want to make it so that they can buy message tokens, send those to other people, and view real messages in their inbox. And right now, they're all fake messages that I have temporarily hard-coded into their inbox. So here I'm basically just first moving a bunch of pieces of code into their own components, because what I was originally doing was kind of unscalable. And now I'm creating this new message purchase component, as you can see here, that you will see in the demo in a little bit as well. Alright, so as you can see here, the look has changed pretty significantly. The color scheme has been changed around, and we added this message coin balance panel on the right side. Right now the buttons don't really do anything, but we will now add in the functionality for that. So the first thing I actually need to do here is deploy my smart contract, which I wrote before these time lapses, unfortunately. So you can't see them, but I need to deploy that smart contract onto a local blockchain network run on my computer, so that way I can actually perform tests with interactions with that contract. And here you can see me modifying a bunch of Redux states and such to manage information passing between that smart contract and the front-end interface here. Now when we open up our MessageCoin app, we'll see that a balance is actually shown there coming from the smart contract itself. Now I basically want to add in the first functionality, which is allowing people to purchase message tokens, which they will then eventually need to actually send those to people carrying messages. And before I do any of that, I do a little bit of restructuring, because I want to reuse that modal pop-up we used for connecting our wallet for the purpose of things like buying message tokens and sending messages. So you'll see first here that I'm doing some work moving a lot of this code into a reusable modal/overlay structure. A lot of time is just spent doing that, because that sort of took a while to get perfect, but it eventually works out, as you'll see. At this point, the modal code is working, and I'm actually working on the contents of the purchase modal now, which actually requires a good amount of new things, such as being able to pull in someone's current message balance, their Ethereum balance, finding the current price I set for message tokens, and all of that. So that requires an additional amount of code required to handle all of the new Redux states, but also some extra fields I need to allow people to actually edit the amount of message tokens they want to buy, actually click the buy button, and of course show error messages when, for instance, they don't have enough Ether, or for some other reason they can't purchase the messages. Alright, and here is the buy message modal working. As you can see, I changed the animation, the look of these modals to sort of fit a more, I guess, modernish theme overall. Alright, so this next section here was super long, and on top of making this section go super fast to not waste your time, I also cut out many hours of content of this, because this part ended up requiring many hours of sort of brutal debugging with error messages that sort of were nonsense, and I didn't really understand it all. You can actually kind of see them popping up in the bottom here already. But basically, what I was trying to do before moving on with the other features of the app, I had talked to my friend Nathan earlier this day, and we were talking about different frameworks. In fact, he's a super smart guy. He recommended using Tailwind CSS, which is the sort of CSS toolkit I'm using for this project. And he also talked to me about switching to a Next.js structure. And currently I'm using Create React App. And moving to Next.js, he said, would make the app faster. So I figured, okay, I'll perform that migration. And I did that here, or I tried to do that. As you can see, the sort of structure of the directory is changing with the new pages and components files. But in this process, it got sort of messy, as you can imagine, going from one framework to another. And there were many things I had to sort of try to account for, from there not being a window object on the server side when that's rendered. That caused a lot of issues. So I had to figure out how to move things into spots where they would only be rendered on the client side. And there was not a lot of direction about this online, especially since it was also a Web3 project I was working on, which I wasn't sure how the interaction would look, because you need to perform this sort of what would normally be a database query that can be done on the back end. It has to be done on the front end here. So I was worried that caused a lot of issues. In the end, though, the worst issue, though, turned out to be that importing SVG files using Next.js is very different from how well, not very different, it's just different from the way I did it in this project. And that gave me a lot of misleading errors that took me hours to figure out was caused by the SVG files. But eventually we got through that mess. All right, at this point, actually, we finished with that whole migration to Next.js stuff. Another benefit of migrating to Next.js, which I forgot to mention earlier, was that it allowed me to move to Tailwind CSS 3 instead of relying on Tailwind CSS 2. And version 3 has a lot of really nice things which I want to try, such as newer color schemes that were prettier, and as well as some nice extra decoration which you can add to different elements like text and underlines, which I really want to try out, and I did actually add to the version of the app, though those parts were not captured by the devlog. Anyway, what I'm doing here now is trying to make the inbox section of the app read actual messages from the blockchain instead of using filler messages. And this process I decided to implement before writing messages to the blockchain, because I thought it'd be nice to have reading working, which helps later when I want to test the writing process. And when I test the reading process, I'm just gonna, hard code some messages to be sent. Anyway, here you can actually see me doing a little bit of Solidity engineering, which was a little bit of Solidity engineering I have captured with these devlogs. I'm about to test the reading messages part now, so I have a few messages already on the blockchain, and now I'm actually going to edit this little script here to tell it to send a message to me called new message, or with the text new message. Put a little bit of a fake delay on it, and then when we open the app back up again, we should see that new message appear. So let me refresh. Yep, and it appears one day after the last message, so January 21st. So that's working now. So oddly enough, this is actually the end of the devlogs. That's because I forgot to record or / lost the recordings of the last couple of days of development. which is pretty unfortunate because there's a lot of exciting stuff there, from adding in some finishing touches and deploying stuff onto an actual domain, which you will see in this final demo here. So yeah, this here is the final product of this sort of first week-ish of development. There's still a lot I want to do, but most of the bare bones stuff is there already, and I sort of want to show it off in this complete fashion. So right now we're starting off in this clean slate at messagecoin.app. And I got this nice domain for it. Deployed it using Versal, so that was super nice. And used Alchemy also to deploy on the Rinkeby net. And actually, I haven't made any interactions with the contract yet, so these are going to be the first interactions I make with that contract. So let's get a wallet connected. And to start off with, I'll connect this bare wallet to show what it looks like to a sort of new user who doesn't have any ETH or anything. So it shows that you have 0 message coin. Suggest sending your first message to someone. You might try to send your message, and it says you have to purchase message tokens to start sending these messages. So I might go do that, and of course I don't have any ETH in my wallet, so I run into issues there. But yeah, anyways, let's go to another account. Let's go to this account here and connect it, refresh, and you'll see that, okay, still no message tokens, but at least we have a little bit of ETH, and we can buy stuff. So let's buy, why don't we buy 10 message tokens here? Cost 0.001 ETH. Put in a purchase, confirm, waiting here, have to load. A loading screen is one thing that I want to officially add, or / pending bot purchases. And you'll also see later on that when you send a message, that transaction process also needs an official loading screen. So those are two things I want to add in future versions. And I'll continue to talk about other things I want to add as we keep going. But here you can see that this process of technically minting these tokens just finished up. Now that we have message tokens, I can send that message to someone. In this case, I'm going to send it to my other dev account with this address. And here we go. Let's do hello world. This is the first message sent on this platform. I'll give it a quick signature as well. I have 10 messages right now, but it should only use one. Maybe I also need to add better UI to show that it's only using one message token, but not a huge worry right now. Let us send this over. By the way, if this is empty, it won't let you send. And if this is invalid address, it also won't let you send. But this is a valid address. So send it over. Confirm that. And as you can see, it's kind of misleading. It looks like all this stuff is sent over, but we in fact have to go here and watch for that process to finish. Again, it'd be really nice if this was native, especially if there was an inbox section and then a outgoing messages section or a sent message section, which I really want to try out. And it's sent over. So that means if I now connect with this account and refresh, I'll see this message on my inbox. And I also see I think that's a 1,000,001,000,001 message tokens. So this is the account I actually used to create the contract, which is why it has so many tokens. Yeah, I can respond now. I created this easy way to just copy the address. So I can now send a message back. I'll say, thank you for the message. Hey, quickly feature. Kind of cheesy, but it'll work. And let's send that back. And there we go. Again, transaction we have to sort of watch here. Another thing that I want to change next time is to actually work on encrypting the transaction, or specifically encrypting the message in the transaction. Because technically right now, it's actually possible to, for anyone who isn't the two recipients, to also go in and view the contents of the message. So in order to change that, I probably will actually just use the public key encryption system using elliptic curves to just basically swap out the contents of the message with encrypted version, and then have the front end do some automatic encrypting and decrypting. And hopefully that should create a nice process there. And the message is sent. I guess Ethernet scan is just taking a while to catch up. There you go. The message appeared here, so probably will want to wait to click into these messages later on, of course. Yeah, that's back. And if I refresh here, perhaps I can show you guys that right now the data is completely public. Yes, so if you decrypted the string here, that'll give you the exact, actually, there you go, yeah. You can easily decrypt it with Etherscan. So I will eventually try to replace this with a encrypted buffer. But yes, that's the progress of this first week. I am pretty happy with where this turned out, and hopefully I will continue making more devlogs later on future progress we make. All right, guys, thank you, and take care. Happy holidays.